ladies and gents, Robert Sykes, KetoSavage.com, and we're doing another training tip tutorial video today. We did legs today, so it seemed fitting to do a tutorial on legs. This is my high definition, super detailed, and artistic ability right here of both a back squat and a front squat. So at some point I'm going to do a full-blown back squat versus front squat video. I'm mostly just going to be talking about front squat today, so I just want to touch on that a little bit. But you'll notice in both the back squat and the front squat, the weight pretty much transfers down the center of the body. That doesn't really change. What changes when you do a front squat is the angle of your back. So on a back squat, since the weight is on your back, you're going to be, by default, leaning a little bit more forward. And with the front squat, since you have to keep everything steady in front of you, you have to have your back slightly more straight. In doing that, the front squat is going to put more of an emphasis on the quadricep, more on the front quadricep, that teardrop portion of your quad, because you're taking out a lot of your hip in the movement, and you're keeping that pretty much, your hip is moving, but it's a lot less so with the back because you're not having that angle, so it's going to be more quad dominated. So let me show you a couple of demonstrations real quick. Let's talk about setup first. We have our bar here, and you ideally want it to be just slightly, possibly slightly lower than you normally have it for a back squat if you have enough adjustability on your rack. This is pretty much where I have my back squat. I don't have, if I go down much lower, it'll be too low, so I'm just going to set up here. There's a couple different grip variations you could use. A lot of people do an Olympic grip or a hook grip, however you pronounce it. Basically with that, you have your fingers, not a full grab with your hand and your palm, but your fingers. You basically roll yourself in, and you want to keep your elbows up the whole time. I don't have a good mobility or flexibility with my wrist, so that hurts when I do that. So I do a cross arm grip, or however you want to call it. Basically, what I do is I position the bar kind of right there in that hollow of my deltoid, grab the bar, and then I do the same thing for the other side as well. So again, rotate all the way, grab the bar, do the same thing with the other shoulder, grab the bar. That way I'm basically putting my hands on top of the bar to keep it in place. Again, focusing on making sure the elbows are staying high. With this, since your back is more straight, you're more likely to fatigue in your traps and your upper back than your quadriceps. So a lot of times when you reach failure with this exercise, it's not because your quads give out, more so because your back gives out. But it's still a great way to target the quads. So again, make sure your elbows are constantly up. Perform a movement real quick. You want to take a deep breath in, brace yourself, come up, take your 2 steps back, set up, and then making sure your elbows are staying high. Like so. With the front squat, since your back is more vertical, it's probably going to be easier for you to go lower than on a back squat, so don't let your lack of ability to go low hinder you. Really important to get a full breath of air in between each movement. Brace yourself against the lifting belt if you're using a lifting belt, which I highly recommend, especially with this exercise being front squats and engaging a little bit more back. But that is the front squats.
Okay, so in my opinion, there's several different ways of doing this. I know Robert already showed 2 different ways. I do mine a little bit differently. It is a little bit harder. I hear from females that getting the bar up and actually being able to hold it up, it seems to be more difficult for females than it is male. So rather than grabbing the bar like this and doing the crossover, or grabbing it like this, which I feel is the hardest way. So I use my index fingers and my thumbs, and I actually just press them against the bar. I'll lift it out. And it allows me to hold the bar up, but rather than going like this, which my arms aren't long enough to do, I can just hold it straight, flat back. And you just don't want the weight to fall forward, otherwise you won't have enough strength to lift it back up. So just holding it there, making sure that your elbows are lifted, and then you're able to go down all the way. I know Robert showed the form for putting or for going down, and we do that the same exact way. I just hold mine a little bit differently, and I've kind of modified that over the last several years. And I hear that females have a really, really hard time doing front squats. That's the way I like to show people because it just seems to be a lot more simple for me.
So to recap, the front squat is a great way to kind of like add more of a quad dominant focus to your lifting. The back squat's king. I'm always going to advocate the back squat over anything else. If you had to pick one leg exercise, you don't have any injuries or anything, I'm always going to recommend the back squat. The benefit of the front squat though is it helps kind of complement your ability to go heavier and harder with more proper form on the back squat because it helps all those supporting muscles, helps the back, helps the hips, the quads, it helps all those supporting movements. So I tend to recommend, throwing in a front squat exercise at least every other week or so to your leg regimen. But if you do that, you're going to get the benefits from the back stability, the quad focus. So give it a shot, see what you think, throw it in your workout.